Welcome back. We are in part 2 of our video series where I'm teaching you how to build a WordPress website from scratch using Kadence, and we are doing it workshop style. If you missed part 1, be sure to check that out before watching this video because I go over the project scope, the details, and I also show you how to build our first draft online using the Kadence AI starter templates feature, which is really great. And in this video, we're kicking off the part where we're going to build the pet finder feature. So we're going to break this down into 3 parts. So in this video today, I'm going to show you how to get your custom post type all set up and add your field groups. And then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to build your element hook where we are going to replace your single post template for that pet finder feature, the pet profile, so to speak. And then in the last part, we're going to show you how to build your custom archive using filters through the advanced query loop builder. So we have a lot in store in this video and in coming videos, so I hope you're excited. But without further ado, we're going to dive right on into the tutorial and get you started on how to create that custom post type. As a reminder, this is where we left off. So we're going to come back over here to Happy Tails and click on our dashboard. And then from here, we need to go over to we need to go to plugins and click on add new. What we need to do here is find the advanced custom fields plugin. So we are going to type that in, hit enter, and that should search the repository. This first result that you see that has the big ACF letters, that's exactly what we need. So we're going to click on this install now button. And then once it's done installing, the little blue activate button will come up and we'll click on that. So after the plugin has been activated, we will now have this ACF option over on our left-hand navigation bar. So inside of ACF, if I just click into it, it's going to pop up with this little panel. And then inside at the top, it says ACF. We've got field groups, post types, taxonomies, and more. What we need to do first is set up our post type. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with what a custom post type is, let me give you kind of a quick little rundown. So the same way that we have posts and we go to this all posts area, you can see that I have some blog posts already in here. And then I also have categories, which is considered a taxonomy. And then we also have tags as well. So the all posts is a post type essentially. And so if we want to display the pets that are available for adoption, what we would do is not want them to be mumbled and jumbled up with our marketing content inside of our blog posts. Instead, we want it to live in an isolated area, but that's going to function the same way that our blog post will. So to do that, that's where we need ACF. So we're going to go back over here and go to the post types, and we're going to create our own post type. So we're going to click on this add new button. And then we're going to fill out this information. So we need to give it a label. So for us, I think we're going to call this pets because we want people to find a pet. For the singular label, we're going to drop the S and it's just going to be pet. If I use the tab key to tab down to the next line, it will automatically fill in the post type key. So you can leave this as is. And then for taxonomies, we haven't set any of these up yet. So if we wanted to share taxonomies with our blogs or our event category, which we already have set up here from the AI plugin, we could do that, but we really need to create our own taxonomies for this post type. And we're going to do that here in just a minute. So for now, we'll leave this turned off and then we'll come back and assign the taxonomy in a future part. If we keep scrolling down, we know that this is already set to be public and we can choose to have this hierarchical. This says that hierarchical post types can have descendants like pages. Because we most likely are not going to have 2 pets nested within each other, I don't think that we need to have that feature turned on for now. I do want to click on this advanced configuration because there are a few settings that I want to have us set up at this stage. So inside of the general tab, we can choose what parts are also going to be showing up inside of the post type. The only thing I think we really need in this example is maybe an excerpt if we plan on using that in other parts of the website, or even on our post if we want like a short little bio to show up before we get into the actual full bio. So I'm going to turn that on. If you wanted to have multiple authors, you could have the author box checked off. We don't care to display who wrote this particular pet post because it's all about the pet and not about the author. So we're going to leave that turned off. Comments is another one you could turn on. Revisions, post formats, trackbacks, page attributes, all of those could be turned on, but for now, I'm going to leave those turned off. If you want to include a description, we'll say these are available pets. Let's change that to say pets available for adoption. And we do want this to be set to active. There is another label up here called labels. And so we're going to choose that and scroll through here. Most of the time, this is going to be just fine. However, if you start saving it and then decide to rename it, you're going to have to go back here and edit all of these. So just be aware of that. In the visibility area, this is where you can actually set where our little icon is going to live inside of our dashboard. So we do want this to show in the UI, which is a user interface for anyone who's not sure what that acronym means. And we can also have this showing in the admin menu, which we do want. We can set the menu position. So let's say I want this to be underneath my posts. I'm going to set this to menu position 4. I think that's the right number, but if I get this wrong, we can come in and play with it. And then for the dash icon, this is like the little icon that shows up over here. So I think I'm going to try and type in paw. Okay, that's not the right keyword. Maybe I can type pet. Oh, there is a paw if I type the word pet. So I'm going to click on that, and then that icon will show up for us over here. In addition, I wanted to show you one other thing. If you do want to exclude this particular content from your search results, you could also toggle that option on here. I think I'm fine keeping mine all in the search results. Scrolling back up to our advanced settings, we also have URLs. You can choose to customize this however you want. We do want to turn on this archive. So as an archive item that can be customized with an archive template file in your theme, we do want to turn that on. Pets is going to be the slug for that, and the rest of this can all stay the same. Then if we go over to permissions, there's usually nothing that we need to do here, and then the REST API is same. So I think we're all good with our advanced settings. We're going to come up here and we're going to click on Save Changes. Now, before I do this, pay attention to my screen over on the left-hand side. Kind of in that post events media area, the pets is going to show up right there. So we're going to click Save Changes, and it's right underneath, and boom, we've got it. So now if I come over here to the pets tab, you can kind of see that this is starting to look like the blog post area. So right now, if I were to come in here and click on Add a New Pet, I can come up here and type in Bingo as our pet's name. And then I can also grab some text filler. So I love using this Cupcake Ipsum website. I'm going to click generate. I'm going to copy this to the clipboard. It basically fills it with a whole bunch of text filler, and it has some really cute words like all about baking and things. So I think that's way better than the Lorem Ipsum personally, but that's just my personality. There are also other Lorem Ipsum tools that you can use. I think there's one for like Nicolas Cage. That's pretty entertaining too. Anyway, okay, back to this. Now that we got all this formatted, we will click on Save Draft. So I have the name and I have a description for him. And over underneath the Pet tab, you can also see that I can set a featured image. So let's go ahead and put our beautiful little dapple dachshund that I've already uploaded onto our post. And we can also add an excerpt. So let's just say I want only the first 2 lines to be our excerpt. I'm going to fill it out. And we're going to have at least the featured image, the little excerpt, and that's pretty much all that we can do right here. So if we come up to this little device icon and click into it, we can preview this in a new tab, and I'll just show you what it looks like as a regular post. So this layout's not bad. It's got our breadcrumbs so that if we were done looking at Bingo, we wanted to go back to pets, we could easily click that and it will take us back to the archive. We have the pet's name, the date, the featured image, and the pet's description, which isn't a bad start. And then over on the side, we have a sidebar, which is just the default info that comes with WordPress. But I think we can do this a lot better. And instead of having to remember all the details that need to be included for every pet, we can add those advanced custom fields. And then when we fill out this pet profile, it's going to feel more like a form that we're filling out rather than a blog post that we have to remember to add all the details to. So that's the objective. So I'm going to come over here and click on our profile again, and we're going to go back to our WordPress dashboard. Now, the other thing that you may have noticed is we didn't have a way to categorize this guy. Let me come back and click on Edit Pet. So in our little Pet tab, there's no place to add a category or a tag. So let's go ahead and set that up next. So over back in our ACF field, we're going to go to Taxonomies. And you can also click into ACF and again, click into this Taxonomies option as well. And we're going to choose Add a Taxonomy. So for this, we probably need to categorize our pets that are available by adoption based on the type of animal that it is. So I think the best naming convention for now would be animal. And actually that's plural, which would be animals. And then singular would be animal. tab down, this works the same way as our other custom post type did. The taxonomy key will get filled in, and this is where we can link the post type. I mentioned that we would do that earlier. So if I click into here, you can scroll through all the options that we have to choose from, but the one we want is pet, so we're going to select that. So then if we keep scrolling down, we see that this is already available to the public, which is exactly what we want. And then we have this hierarchical option. So that means you need to have this turned on if you want it to function like a category, and leave it turned off if you want it to function like a tag. So because we want this to be a category, we're going to turn ours on. Okay, so then there's another option here for advanced configuration. We can also select that just to give this a quick look over. So we do want to be able to sort terms, so I want to toggle that on. And we also need some sort of default term. Actually, I don't think that we do. So I'm going to leave that turned off for now, actually. And then in the description here, we are going to say, let's just say the type of animal that's available for adoption. And then we do want this to be active. We'll go over to the labels. Again, this shouldn't need to be updated at all if you added the correct label the first time around. However, if you changed your mind, you do need to go back and check those. Then underneath visibility, we also have showing in the UI, etc. down here. We also want to show this in the admin column, which is going to display a column for a taxonomy on the post type listing screens. I do want to turn that on. And then underneath URLs, these are all fine to be default. So I think that's all that we need for our taxonomy. So let's go ahead and click on Save Changes. And once that loads up for us, underneath pets, now we have all pets, add new pet, and we have animals. Let's click into that. And as you can see, this looks a lot like the blog category feature. So from this screen, we can go ahead and add that we have dogs. So we'll do dogs. The slug can be dogs. And then for the description, we are typing in dogs available for adoption. And we're going to click on add new animal. Let's also do this for cats too while we're here. Now, this description will actually show, well, you can choose to have it show. So we may want to do that on our category pages. So that's the reason why I have it filled out for now. We can come back and edit this later. I'm going to click on add new animal. So now we have our two types of animals that are available for adoption. We have cats and dogs. If you wanted to expand on this, you can add rabbits, reptiles, all the other small type animals might be another way to do that. So for now, that's good. Let's go back to our other screen where we were editing Bingo. I'm going to do a refresher here. And I want to show you, if you're clicking into this, the block tab, you're going to have this dynamically show up with all of the tools that can edit that particular block. But this pet tab, if you reopen this now, it's going to have the animals option. So I'm going to set that this is a dog, and I will click on Save Draft. And so that is a good starting point. We could also add tags here as well. So let's go ahead and have that set up. Although the other challenge that you have whenever you're building out a custom post type is you can't reuse the same name. So if I wanted to call these categories and tags, that name's already taken in all the database fields, so we can't use that. So you kind of have to get creative with your naming conventions. If you do want it to say tags, maybe it's like pet tags, with an underscore or something like that. So I actually don't have a use case yet for tags, so I'm actually going to leave that part off. But if you wanted to create tags, you would literally repeat the exact same process and make sure the hierarchical is turned off, and then it becomes a tagging system. So now that we have our post type set up and we have our categories so that we can easily categorize things, it's time to also add some custom fields. Custom fields are going to allow us to add those descriptors to every single pet. So height, weight, breed, color, medical needs, etc. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to come over to the field groups option, and then we are going to create our first field group. So a field group can have different field types where you can add a text area, number, range, email, URL, password. There's content ones, there's choice, relational, advanced, layout. There's a whole bunch of options to choose from. So for now, I think what we want to do is a text field. Let me see if there is also a number field. So I'm thinking for like really large animal shelters, they typically will have like an animal ID number. So I think that's important to include here. So that way, maybe if there is a pet with the same name, maybe there's two Bingos, in the shelter, we'll at least know which one it is for the with the pet ID. So we're going to call this pet ID in the field label, and we're going to make the field type be a number, unless your pet ID has letters in it as well. So maybe it's like A1000, in which case you would want this to be our text. So I'm actually going to leave this to text, and we will have this be our pet ID. And then the default value can be pre-filled here if you want, but I don't really think that we need that. So we also need to give this I'm going to do pet profile for the title there. And then from here, we're going to click on Save Changes. Now, you're not going to see this take effect until we go down to the settings and tell it which post type we want it to be equal to. So the post type is equal to, we need to change this from post to pet, and we're going to hit Save Changes. Now, if we go back over to our pets area and go Edit Bingo's Profile, you can see that we have the pet profile settings down here, and if we were to expand those, I can see that the pet ID is available to be filled out. So again, I'm just going to say this is A1000 is the pet ID, and I can hit Save Draft. Now, if I were to preview this on the front end, you're not going to see anything because we don't have these displayed on the front end of the site in any way yet. So we will build that when we create a custom post template. But for now, what we're going to do is just keep adding more details to the pet profile. So let's go back to our dashboard, go back to ACF, field groups, and in the pet profile, we're going to click on edit. And now we're just going to add another field. We'll obviously need a picture of the pet, but we already have that profile picture taken care of with the featured image. So we don't need to add a field for that. The pet name is going to be the name of the blog post altogether, so we really don't need a custom field for that. Now we do need some adoption fees to be displayed, so we could come in here and do, again, text, or we could do a number if you only want it to show a specific fee. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to number, and we're going to call this adoption fee, and it will automatically fill in the field name for us, default value. Let's say all of our pet adoptions are, I don't know, $150. So we're done with that one, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on Add Field and keep going down our list. We also need to include details for the breed or what the animal looks like. Now, there are a few things that we could do. You could just do a text and then type in the breed, but then that can get really confusing. And if you want someone to be able to filter by specific breeds, then we might need to do like a drop-down situation or a checkbox situation. So I think drop-down's probably the best option. So the drop-down is the option that says Select. And we are going to do breed/looks like. And the reason I'm doing that is because sometimes there are pets that are mutts and you aren't sure what the breed is, and so it looks like this type of animal. So I think that's a good thing to include. And then for the choices, for now, I know I have a dachshund in here. Let's just write golden retriever. I mean, you would go in here and fill all of this out. We could also have maybe like a pit bull. We could have a Chihuahua. So we'll just leave 4 in there for now for this like demo experience. But you can come in here and add as many as you want. And then for the default value, we are going to leave that off. And then the return value is going to be the actual value, or you can set it to be label or both array. For now, I'm good with the value. And then we can also choose to select multiple. What if it is a mix? A mix between a golden retriever and a dachshund. That would be a crazy mix. But I think we might want to. So let's go ahead and choose the select multiple turned on, and we are good to go here. So we're going to keep going and adding a new field. So in addition to the breed looks like, we probably need a gender. So we're also going to have this either be a checkbox, or we could do a select option as well. I think the select option is going to be fine, and we're going to write gender, and we will make this male and female. And default value is all good. Select multiple, no. We'll click on save, and let's keep going. Let's add another field. We also need to know their age. I think instead of having the actual age, like this is an 11-month-old puppy, we might want it to say like baby, we might want it to say young, adult, and maybe senior, as those are like the options. And in the profile, if we needed to disclose more details, then we definitely could do that. My only concern with that option is if we're doing this for like puppies or kittens. Someone might want a 6-week-old kitten instead of a 11-month-old kitten, in which case I think from 0 to 12 months would all be classified and lumped into one. So do we want the level of granularity so that we can actually filter that out? It kind of depends on how we want to set this for now. I think for ease of use, let's just do the drop down option. And if we ever want to come in and change this later, we can. So I'm going to choose the select option again. We're going to say age, and age is going to auto default. And then we're going to say baby, young, we will say adult, and senior. And we'll be good with that. And the default is nothing, keeping all this the same, and we will click on Save Changes. The other thing we could do too is with weight. We could put the weight of the animal. Again, same thing here. We need to think through how do we want to display that information? Do we want it to be weight and size is sorted by small, medium, large, extra large? Or do we want them to be sorted by true weight at the actual shelter? The challenge that we have with that is if it's a puppy and it weighs 10 pounds now, but it's going to be full grown adult and weighs 75 pounds, I think that's important to know as the person adopting the animal, like what is the full weight going to be when they're older? So how do people search that? I think for now, from like a filtering capability, just doing like the extra small, medium, large, extra large type might work just fine. And then in the actual pet description, if you wanted to include the current weight of the animal, you could. I don't think people are like, I want an 11-pound dog, right? Like they want a small dog. So I think that makes the most sense. So sorry, I told you we're doing this workshop style. We're just talking through our ideas as we're doing this. So let's click on Add New, and then we are going to do the select option again. And we're going to do size, and our choices are going to be maybe tiny, or mini, or tiny. Mini, small, and then medium, large, extra, maybe extra large. And I think that's good. I think those are really good. And then from here, we will want this to not be having multiple, and we will click on Save Changes. Another field we might want to include would be when they arrived in the shelter. So in this case, we would want a date. Also, this little thing, instead of having to search through it, you can just start typing in date and it will appear. So we can do the date picker, and this will be date arrived. We'll tab this down, choose the format that we want. I think the way that we have it selected here is just fine. The week for us is going to start on a Sunday. I think that's all we need. So we will click on Save. We also have 3 parts to the pet's profile that we could include. We could have a My Story, we could have My Treatment Plan Details, and My Needs. So My Story is like the profile. I don't think I want to create a custom field for that because we can just use the pet profile, but I do want My Treatment Plan Details to be a separate field. So if there are any medical needs at all, those can be displayed separately. So let's go ahead and do a text area for that, and My Treatment Plan Details is what we're going to type there. And from here, we're good to go. So this is just, anyone can fill in whatever content that they want for this, and I think we're good with that. Okay, let's go ahead and click on Save Changes for here. And then we also need one for My Needs. So My Needs might be like no cats in the home, like not cat friendly, not dog friendly. Although, should we have that as a drop down instead? Ooh, how do we want to display that? Because I do think, if, like for me, I have a cat and a dog. And as I was adopting my dog from the shelter, it would have been really handy to know, like, is cat friendly? Or we can have a filter that says unknown. I think let's do that as a drop down as well. Again, if we don't love it, we can go back and change it. The only thing about that, there's a caveat when it comes to like creating custom post types, and that is saying if you want to change it, that's fine, but then you're going to have to go back to every single pet profile and update the selection if you do change it. So while I do say we could change it, it can become a pain in the butt after you have multiple pets already listed in your little thing. So maybe we really should think through that ahead of time. And that's just something for you to think about. If you're building a custom post type, think about what you want your selections to be ahead of time, so it just saves you a bunch of headache from having to go back and edit later. Okay, so as I was saying, we are going to do needs, and this is going to be a drop down. So we'll do a select option as well. Needs is all we're going to do. And then for here, we were going to say no animals in the home, or like not good with cats, not good with dogs. Maybe it's like special needs. Those are the ones I can think of for now. There may be some additional issues that we could come up with and add those as we have a pet that actually fits into that category. Let's go ahead and use those options. Again, you guys can make sure that you have yours selected properly. And then I'm going to click on select multiple because there could be one that's not good with cats and also special needs. And we're going to click on the add additional field. I think, just looking at my list, I think that's all that we really need for now to kind of get going. So let's go ahead and save these changes. Let's go back to our pets and let's go back to Bingo and edit Bingo. And in here, underneath our pet profile, if we just keep scrolling down, now it feels like a form that you just fill out for this pet's details. So we already know what the pet ID is. We know the adoption fee is set to $150. We can say it looks like a dachshund. We can say it is a male. We can say that this is a young dachshund maybe. We can say it's mini or even small. We might want to even go back and add some additional descriptors there, like mini is this pound to this pound, small is this pound to this pound, etc., so that we kind of know what size that is. But I think mini is probably fine for now. And then the date that the dog arrived, let's say it arrived on, here we go, August the 1st, although that date is probably not the right way we do it in the United States, so I probably need to go change that. My treatment plan details, we can say spayed, neutered on, let's say it was 8/2, and I think that's all for now. We can say no issues with the needs. Actually, let's just say that it's not good with cats, so we have something to select. What is this? Oh, we have a random item here. So let's go ahead and save this as a draft and come back and fix those minor issues that we have found. So going back to ACF field groups, and then underneath our pet profile, we're going to click on edit. And then from here, look, we have one that has no label. Let's delete that, remove it. The date arrived, let's edit this and let's change the format. Yeah, I totally missed that. So let's update this to the way that we do it here in the States. I'm going to click on save and let's go back to our pet profile. I want to edit it. So now if I look at my pet profile, that extra field was gone and now the date is in the proper order. So that is good news. Like if you just change the formatting, you don't have to go back and redo the actual content. It's if you change the content, you kind of have to come back and refresh. Okay, so I think that's good for now. Let's go ahead and publish Bingo's profile. What we'll do next is add an additional profile. So let's go add a new pet. Let's make her name Marla for no reason. So let's make her A1001. The pet adoption fee will be $150. We know this is going to be a dachshund as well. It's going to be a girl. She's going to be an adult. Mini is fine. Date arrived. Let's make it the same. Let's make her on Friday the 2nd. Treatment plan details. Let's say up to date with vaccines. And then let's just say no special needs needed. Over here, we know that this is a dog and we need to set the featured image. So here is our pretty girl Marla. She's also a dachshund that I've already uploaded her photo. And then we do need a little bit of text. So let me generate some more on my other screen here and paste that in. And we'll add all of those details. Let's just say that she doesn't have that big of a profile detail. Okay. So now we have Marla's profile set up in here too. Let's publish Marla and let's go preview. So this is what her profile looks like, but as you can see, none of those custom fields that we just added are showing up. And that is because we haven't told a template or anything to include those details. So we're going to be building that element hook feature next. So stick around and watch that next video.